Thanks for joining me as I travel the world, going from fine dining through to street food and local specialties, all in an effort to find the world's best seafood. What's up, folks? I'm currently in Hong Kong, one of my favorite cities in the whole world, staying in my favorite suburb, Sheung Wan, one that is just an amazing mashup of tradition and new, modern, exorbitant wealth. And not surprisingly, it's home to some incredible restaurants. Tonight I'm bringing you to one of my favorite restaurants in this area called Ronan. In a way, it's more well known for late night eats, but it is getting a reputation for fine dining, and getting a table is actually getting quite difficult. Now let me tell you the truth, it's kind of hard to find. I've been maybe 4 times, and every time I get a bit turned around. Partly because the streets are a big mess here, and partly because the door is just really hard to find. If you find yourself to the street famous for antiques and handicrafts, then to this little booth selling electronics next to the yakiniku is a doorway. So on one side is the Velo Cafe, on the other is Elsewhere, and then here, that door that is unmarked, that's it. So Ronan is a modern style izakaya, which basically means like snack bar food. But as you'll see, this is far from your typical bar food. Apart from anything else, they have an almost intimidating drinks list, including of course sake and wine and that kind of thing. But then perhaps the biggest range of Japanese whiskies I've ever seen. It's really remarkable. In total, they have about 125 different Japanese whiskies, including Taketsuru 35-year-old pure malt that they're selling for over $380 for 50 mils. Fortunately, they have some reasonable stuff on there as well, so I went for the Nikka 12-year malt and grain, and some mineral water to start off my meal. So here's the 2 bottles. They know people are into it, so they display it so you can take a photo. Now, like a lot of high-end whiskey bars, they serve it with a big ball of ice. Pretty cool to actually see one of the head waitresses carving all of these in front of you as you're having your meal, cutting all the different pieces of ice up. So the menus are arranged every day. It's a new one. They've got a whole big range of raw stuff, then small kind of sharing style dishes. A lot of it is seafood. Surprise, surprise, that's why I'm here. As well as some bigger dishes. And I was taken by their tasting menu, which is not super cheap, but given the range that this restaurant has to offer at $151 for what it was going to provide, sounded like a pretty good deal. Of course, you're going to have drinks on top of that. Started off with some spinach with dressing, a little cold kind of appetizer. Was nice, and then I actually added on 3 additional oysters to the one that was included in the sampler. Included in the tasting menu is a ghee oyster with grapes, tozazu and sudashi, but I ordered 3 additional senposhi oysters with red shiso vinegar granite and sudashi. And I have to say they were all phenomenal, but definitely I preferred the one that I ordered. Next up came a sampler of sashimi. It was 5 different kinds of sashimi, arranged to be eaten in a clockwise fashion, basically going from the most delicate flavors to the richest. Now overall I thought these were really nice, except the shrimp, to be honest, it lacked flavor. It wasn't an outstanding Botan shrimp. And then it's nice that they served the torso there fried. However, it was obviously fried much earlier in the day, cold, and just dripping with oil. It was like it didn't get given a chance to be drained at all, and to me it just tasted of mediocre oil, which was really disappointing. The next dish in the tasting was uni. Now this was a beautiful looking dish, a huge helping of uni, along with some kind of deep fried batter flakes and herbs, which they said to mix right up. Now I have to say the uni was quite high quality, but completely overpowered by the additional things that they wanted it mixed up with. I actually found myself trying to leave the stuff on the side so I could enjoy the uni by itself. I think it kind of ruined the dish having it with such overpowering flavors, and again, the greasy fried pieces that they had included. The couple to the left of me were having a mixed platter, and it seems like this looks like a better uni dish that came served in a crab shell with pieces of crab meat. It looked a lot lighter. Next up was an absolute standout. This was sardine tartare. It's sardine season at the moment. These fattier, oilier fish are just beautiful at this time of year. Here, of all the dishes so far, was my favorite, served with purple potato chips, which again would be nice to have seen them cooked a little bit more recently and a little bit warm and fresh. But overall, this dish was just outstanding, amazing flavor, and I would go back just for this one dish if nothing else. Next up, I ordered 2 additional sashimis because this was going to be the last of the cold dishes. That is the black cod and then also scallops. Both good, but the cod was definitely the better of the 2. The scallops, to be honest, really lacked flavor. Next up was a tempura of anago, which is sea eel, a much milder eel than the one that you get more often, the unagi. This was served with a dipping sauce and a slightly spicy numbing salt. Next up was maybe my favorite, a variety of mackerel, grilled beautifully, served with the bone. Really simple dish, but this is exactly the kind of dish that an izakaya should be serving, especially an upscale one. So I paired it with a glass of light red, a Tempranillo from New Zealand actually, and this was another phenomenal dish. This is in season, and this is an izakaya done right. Next up was half a quail in a beautiful deep fried batter. Again, I don't usually eat a lot of deep fried food, but this was beautifully done. And rounding out the heavy dishes, this is the unagi, the freshwater eel, over a rice that again has the Sancho peppers and pickles in it. A really hearty and indulgent way to round out the stodgy dishes. Finally, a soup that includes turnip and turnip leaves. Now, Ronin doesn't serve desserts, but they do have a dessert drink included. I opted not for the coffee shochu, instead going for the cocoa nib one. It was light, it was refreshing, and a really surprising but delicious end to the meal. So that was a fantastic meal. A couple of little missteps, but overall great. But another great reminder to me not to go and eat at these kind of places when I'm so heavily jet lagged. I kind of lost track of the price, and with 3 drinks, that came in at about $280 US, and then over 300 with a tip. Not a cheap meal and not a typical izakaya by any standard, but if you're looking to treat yourself, do check it out. I'd probably recommend coming with 2 or 3 people though. Please do like and subscribe for your seat at the table for my future journeys to find the world's best seafood.